If your business had a body, how would the heartbeat be? Is the pulse alive and thriving, or is it slowly dragging its feet forward? In this episode, we're doing a mid-year checkup on our marketing, our messaging, and our business as a whole. You'll walk away with the tools that you need to do a full scan with clarity, revived energy, and hopefully the next steps. So put on your surgical-grade gloves, get out your stethoscope, and let's refresh and refocus. Welcome to Content with Character, the weekly podcast that'll give you the momentum you need to create content with more ease, clarity, and laughter. I'm your host, content copywriter Emily Aborn, and I'm all about unconventional marketing approaches. I believe in your big ideas, and I'm excited to help you share them in a way that's distinctly you. Hi, welcome back to Content with Character. May and June are big months here in the Aborn home. We have, I kid you not, mine, Jason's, Clyde, our dog's birthday, all in May and June. We have somewhere around 12 birthdays in our families in May and June, plus Mother's Day, Father's Day, and a few other things sprinkled in there like anniversaries. We also have the tasks and things that come along with our birthdays. Clyde's vet appointment, dentist, haircuts, several annual doctor's appointment, blood work, vehicle inspection, registration, Clyde's registration, getting your eyeballs checked, sometimes license reissuing, and hopefully I didn't miss anything. There is a lot involved when you embark on that yearly checkup excursion. Now, I do not miss these things. I don't skip them because I really believe that they can help you shine a light on a lot of things, sometimes going on under the surface, right? So for examples, the blood work that you get back might be that check you need to ensure all systems are go, numbers aren't out of whack one way or the other. Clyde gets protection from some pretty horrific diseases when he goes to the vet, and they also check in on his poor, mostly not so little, but still mostly benign tumors to make sure that he's still cranking along okay. We also get our vehicles checked for issues that could cause way bigger issues down the road, pun not intended. And we also celebrate, set goals, re-steer, reimagine, envision, and take the pulse of everything we've done in the year, like around our birthdays, while we're looking at all the new things that we want to do and create. So in business, a lot of folks do this kind of thing as well. They do physicals and checkups, and often they'll do them once a year, so annually, like around New Year's or around tax time. Now, I'm the kind of person who I like to do lots of check-ins. In fact, I would probably do this with my blood work if it was an option. I like to do my business check-ins ideally 4 times a year, and then like one big inventory or checkup twice a year. Now, because I think it's really important, especially when you are moving at a breakneck speed like I am right now, it is important to give a solid checkup some time to ensure that you are moving forward with intention, because things are moving fast and I want to slow down in order to make sure that I'm doing any tweaking, any dropping, any doubling down, any bringing things to life, stuff like that helps me achieve my goals. I'm not going to say goals, but where I want to be in my business. So we're going to take a look at, in today's episode, we're going to take a look at where you've been, where you are, where you're going, and we're going to make sure that your message, what you are sharing, still has a pulse. But more than that, I want to make sure like you are over there alive and thriving in your business. And I have an extra resource for you that you can listen to after this episode, just to kind of like reassure you and let you know that if you're not feeling that way right now, you're not alone, because there's a lot of us there. So, and some things you can actually do about that as well. All right. And just in case this is your first time listening to me, I would love to be allowed to introduce myself. So may I? I'm not a doctor, as in I don't take anything I ever say as medical advice, especially not in this episode. I did go to school for health education and nutrition, but these days I really only help doctor up like messaging and marketing heartbeats, not your cholesterol. I'm a small business copywriter and content marketing consultant, and as you can hear by the sound of my voice, I'm also the host of this show. So if you ever want to connect with me, learn more about what I am over here doing with the rest of my year, if you want to become friends or work together, whatever suits your fancy, you can visit my website at emilyaborn.com and you'll be able to find literally all the things there and then some. So whether this is your first time listening or your 113th time listening or anything in between, I just want to give you a really big, warm welcome. I really appreciate you. My sole purpose with this podcast is to make it A, enjoyable, and B, worthwhile all at the same time. So actually, A and B are both A and B. So without further ado, let's get into it. I guess I should caveat this episode or give you a content warning. I know some people have medical anxiety, and in some ways I do too, depending on the thing. So I pre-apologize for using a medical analogy. I'll try to make them less scary, okay, than going to your actual doctor. How's that? But it really did help me to kind of give a good framework and format to the show and some good direction. So we're gonna go with it. And today we're going to go with taking our health history and reflecting. We're gonna start there. And then we're going to look at what brings you in today. Where are you right now? Then we're going to do a little heartbeat check, some blood work, a brain scan, and sorry, not sorry, we're going to go ahead and do that full scope examination after that. In true Emily Aborn fashion, there are extended show notes that go with this episode because especially with this one, I want those of you who like to take notes or you're currently operating 1,000-pound vehicles to be able to just sit back, relax, and know that I've already taken all the notes for you. So you can always get, if I do have extended show notes, you can always get the extended show notes and the reflection questions that I give in an episode and any extra resources by following the pointy finger emoji in the show notes, or you can visit emilyaborn.com and just look at that Content with Character podcast page. It all lives there in happy little extended show note land. Okay, now truly without further ado, now we're done a-doing, but they do make you wait a long time in those waiting rooms. So now Dr. Emily is in. We're going to begin with the health history. This is the time in your examination, your marketing checkup, to look at where you've been in the first 6 months of this year. What have you already accomplished and overcome and set into motion this year? So I really encourage people to think or ideally write down their wins, personal and professional, because those things can really pass you by unnoticed, uncelebrated. If you want a little pro tip on this, I keep a monthly celebration document, and on that document I write down everything personally and professionally that happened in a month so that I can look back at the end of the year and be like, wow, I did so many things, but I also can celebrate as I go and make myself happy, and it's just really, really fun. So some of the things to look at when you're looking at where have I been in the 6 months of the year, in the first 6 months of the year. I would when it comes to your marketing specifically, where have you spoken, or what events have you attended? Which ones were fantastic? Which ones were great and you are celebrating? Maybe which ones were not so great and you're I probably won't do that again, or I'll just give it one more chance and see if it's for me. What podcasts have you been on? What new collaborations have you tried? What things have you set into motion, or old collaborations or old things that you've set into motion? What clients have you worked with? How did they find you? What's gone well and not so well? And all the wins, unexpected twists, lessons learned so far. For me, I also like to look at the episodes here, the Content with Character episodes that were a big hit or not. For example, one that was very popular was the Red Flags episode. People were passing it on and raving about it. So that clued me in to actually okay, I've hit something good here. And I decided to actually turn that into a workshop I'm doing for SCORE in July, which when that comes live, I will make sure that there's a link in the show notes that will mention it again. I also like to take note of posts that got engagement. Some of mine have taken off and I'm I did not expect that with that. And it'll sometimes be, I should say it's most often the stuff that's unedited on the fly in the moment. And that seems to be doing really well for me, or stuff I just came up with on my way home from, the pharmacy or whatever. So the other thing I want to look at during this time, where have I been, is I want to look at all the platforms that I am am on currently. Take into consideration any that you've let go as well and see how you're feeling about that there too. But really look at the platforms you're on. We're going to do a whole episode this month, actually, specifically on platforms. And lastly, I also like to look at the emails I've sent, like what the percentage of opens are, website traffic changes, all that kind of stuff. So this is like where I've been in the past 6 months with my business. And specifically, I'm focusing on my marketing. Now, this does not need to be super in-depth. It's kind of like giving yourself a full bird's eye view of what you've been up to so far this year. Next, we need to look at where you're going. Like, what are your goals? What brings you in today? So this is going to be where we do get a little bit more granular in reviewing where you are. You can dive in at your leisure. And as I said, all of these kind of reflection questions are going to be in those extended show notes. But here are the 3 questions I would encourage you to start with. 1, are you on track with your goals, values, or vision, or are you drifting away from them? Now, it's not always, I would say, be honest first and foremost. And it's not always bad if you've drifted away from your goals. My friend and I are keeping a goals sheet this year, and we both looked back at it, and I'm like, there are some things I'm just like thinking I need to amend, and it's for good reasons, right? And same with her. So that's one question to ask yourself. Are you on track with your goals, your vision, and your values? And if not, are you drifting away from them, and do you want to be? Second question, what is working right now in your content, your marketing, your messaging, your business as a whole? Where are you just feeling like really, really good and healthy and energetic? And number 3, what's not working? Where do you feel stuck or uninspired or bored or any of those adjectives that might be indicative, frustrated, that you need to make a change? So this is really your time to look at where you're going or where you want to be going. Like, are there some things that need to be tweaked or recalibrated? It could be like your brand voice or your tone or your offers or the frequency that you're posting on things or the platforms you're choosing or what you're focusing on as a whole. Where do you want less? Where do you want more? Are you trying to talk to the same people? Have your ideal clients evolved? What do you need to do to make adjustments to keep you moving forward to where you want to go? All right, next up, we're going to get into the heartbeat of your business and check some of those vital signs. We're going to make sure your message still has a pulse, your blood work is all checking out, and you are not running on fumes. Here, we're trying to answer, is there life? And if so, where is it? So this is where you can ask yourself, what is alive and thriving in my business right now? What is alive and thriving in the content that I'm sharing right now? Are you still as excited to show up? Do you feel connected to your message? Take the pulse. Do people understand what you do when they land on your stuff, when they interact with your stuff? And then what topics or content are getting a lot of your energy lately? Which ones are like really giving you energy and which ones are feeling very flat? You get the idea. But you want to make sure that you're still feeling excited about what you're offering and sharing. You want to make sure your content and your marketing and what you are doing in your business is consistent with your brand values and your tone, and additionally, that it is cohesive across the board. So what I mean by that is like making sure that everything is clear and recognizable and kind of all goes together and makes sense, like across the platforms, across the board, across your business. Also, don't panic if it's not. I did this recently, and there are some things back here, over here that are a hot mess, which made me realize I needed to go to some of those questions and say, okay, what is alive and thriving? Where am I excited to show up? Where do I feel connected or not? Are people understanding what I do when they land on my podcast, for example? Which topics are giving me energy and which ones are feeling flat? So it made me realize that I needed potentially some surgery in some key areas in my business. So I'd encourage you to ask yourself those questions as well. And this is just about taking stock so that you know what you want to work on and whose help you might need to bring in to get you there. And if you missed the episode we did a couple weeks ago on asking for help when you need something, I'll make sure that is in the show notes too, because it was really, sometimes we don't even know what we need. And that one kind of gives you some clarity on what kind of help you might need. Okay, time to get under the surface a little bit, and we're going to run some serious diagnostics. This is where you might look at your numbers, your metrics, any analytics that are relevant for you. Personally, I'm a fan of looking at my bank account and my site analytics and how many people go from a connect call with me or a discovery call, whatever you call it, to turning into a client that works with me. How many of those clients then turn into clients that stay on with me as retainer clients? How many retainer clients do I have? How many do I want? How many do I need? How much revenue am I generating? How are your expenses going, right? Like all those sneaky little subscriptions, they suck up our dough pretty quickly and on the regular. So this is kind of like taking the blood, the blood work of your business. We're going to find those numbers and really identify problems before things get out of hand in either direction. And the numbers you decide to focus on, that will look totally 100% unique to you. I shared mine, but you will have to decide for yourself. But it is really important to get to those numbers because at the end of the day, you are running a business. You do need to make profit and revenue. And there are probably some numbers that can help to indicate whether or not you are really getting to where you want to go or not. So that's kind of the time to look at that. And then, of course, anything else that you forget to acknowledge. So, for example, I sometimes forget that I have sources of affiliate income and I forget to check in on those and say, wow, in 3 of those, my goal was to have them pay for themselves throughout the year. And in 2 of the cases, they're doing so. So that's awesome. You can look at like your networking groups, like are they giving you any ROI? It doesn't have to be financial. It can be emotional, whatever, spiritual. But look at like, are these things that you're giving your energy to and your money to, are they giving you return on some sort of investment? And you may also need to make some decisions here. Lifestyle changes. If we're at the doctor, right? Lifestyle changes. So if I've been investing and investing and investing in something and there is just no budging in those numbers over time, perhaps it is time to see whether or not it's worth it. Now, I always believe in giving something the time that it needs to thrive, to bloom, to blossom. Sometimes that timeline is 6 years. Sometimes that timeline is 6 days, right? But you do need to give things time to stick and see where they're working. But if they're not, and there's no budging in those numbers, it might be time to make some changes. So this is your opportunity to run the blood work, do the diagnostics, and then do what I do after blood tests and reward yourself with a piece of dark chocolate. All right, and our little marketing checkup is almost done. But first, we need to do the brain scan. We need to check in on the powerhouse of the whole operation. This is like the real crux of everything. So, and I'm talking kind of like the logical stuff. So does your message, for example, match what you're selling or promoting now or what you want to be selling? So when people go to your website, is it clear what you do or what you like, the direction that you want to be heading in? Or is it reflecting the you of 10 years ago? Or is it reflecting the you of 6 months ago? Has your audience actually evolved? Are you speaking to the same version of your ideal client? Have they changed? Are you speaking to a different person entirely? And then are you still on the right places and sharing content in the right ways for you? So are your platforms the right fit for you? Is your tone a good fit? Is the content formats that you're showing up with still the best fit for you? And if not, what has grown or shifted that maybe you need to now go update in your messaging or your content? Maybe you've outgrown some past thinking, or you've got some old beliefs or patterns still pervading your beautiful business owner brain, and those need a little bit of an upgrade, and then they need to be infused into your business as a whole, your messaging as a whole, right? So just some things to look at, some brain scans to do on yourself. And of course, I wouldn't be a good physician if I didn't send you off with a plan. So we've done this full scope exam. Now we're going to go into making a few recommendations for you. No prescription filling needed, just things that you can set as intentions for yourself for the next 6 months. All right, I got a couple of these for you. Question number 1, what is your intention for the second half of the year? You can make it a one big goal. You can make it an intention. Another way to ask that would be, how do you want to feel for the second half of the year? How can you also start to feel this right away? Like without even having made any changes, is there like a little inner tweaking you can do to start feeling this today? I know that's something I've really been working on, is like, okay, this is how I want to feel in my life. So what is stopping me from just like wearing the pants that make me feel that way? I'm using a very small example, but so what is one thing that you could even start doing to help yourself feel that way right away without even changing anything? Just kind of internally, you decide, this is how I want to start showing up. This is how I want to feel. Question number 2/3, what are your main focuses here on out? Like, I love to choose just 3. I like to keep it simple, but what are 3 things that you want to focus here on out for the for the second half of the year? What do you want to, like, what's going really, really well that you want to double down on and keep doing? You're like, this has been giving me so much energy. It's been lighting up. I've been doing it really well, and I want to double down on it. For me, it's like a very specific client that I'm working with right now. I love it, and I just want more of it. So that's kind of what I want to double down on in my business. And then what do you want to let go of? What is draining you? What is like, oh my gosh, make the money stop coming out of my bank account? So what are some things that you want to let go of? And then, do you need support? Do you need support internally or externally to keep going, to reinvigorate, to refresh? Like, are there some areas where you do need to get an extra set of hands or maybe some extra eyeballs to give you some support? And then here's another fun question for you. If you could wipe the slate clean right now and design the second half of 2025 from scratch, or if you're not listening to this in 2025 or you're not listening to this in the second half of a year, if you could wipe the slate clean right now and redesign your life, your business from scratch, what would you do first? What would you prioritize? And I would encourage you actually to use that as kind of like a journaling prompt and just like dump as many ideas as your hand will let you. Because it can be really, really telling to how you want to move forward and how you really want to feel, what things are most important to you. Okay, and with that, looks like time is up. They don't give you much time in the doctor's office, so I didn't want to take too much of yours. There you have it. We just gave you your mid-year marketing and messaging checkup. I hereby issue you a clean bill of health with just a few little things to work on moving forward. Dr. Emily is officially calling it, and I will leave you to check your own businesses from here. Once again, it is the heartbeat and vitals. What is giving you life and what has lost its pulse? Then we're going to look at the diagnostic and numbers. Those are the tangibles that give you information based on and show you adjustments that you might need to make. Then we're going to look at the brain scan, the brain and mindset. What does that next level look like? What beliefs and thoughts are getting in the way? What does your mindset need to be to get there? Does it need an upgrade? And of course, giving yourself a plan for moving forward. So as I said, there are extended show notes for this one, so you can have all these categories and questions in one place. I also included 2 more podcast episodes that play really nicely with this one. One is by Andrea Jones of the Mindful Marketing Podcast, and one is by Tanya Lee, who is host of the School of Self-Image. So all of that will be in the show notes, all in one place. And I encourage you to set some time aside before that actual second half of the year hits to review it all, which is coming at us pretty quick. You know, I will be right here alongside you doing it as well. And on that note, I will chat with you next week. Next week, as promised, we are going to talk about social media platforms and get really nice and serious about which ones we want to be on and which ones we don't. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Content with Character. If you loved the episode, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast, rate, review, and share it with someone else you know it could help. For more content and visibility tips, visit my blog at emilyaborn.com, and be sure to connect with me on Instagram at emilyaborn. I'd love to hear how this inspired you to take action.